Hi everyone, my name is Annelle, and I'm a sociophobe. I bet you can name at least 2 friends or yourself and say, so what's the big deal? We're all kind of sociophobes. But no, guys. If it's a way of life, maybe it's no big deal, but it's quite another thing when it's a diagnosis made by a psychotherapist. And that's the diagnosis I got. Not too long ago, I went to the mall. It doesn't happen very often. I prefer to order everything through delivery. But that day, I needed to buy something home at the request of my mother, and I agreed. I put my hood on, put my headphones in my ears, and walked, looking under my feet. I didn't like people looking at me, looking at things. I liked being at home, just sitting in my room. For this reason, I even refused to go to school, and my mother hired a tutor to work with me at home. It took 3 years before I got used to it. So as soon as I walked into the mall, I heard through my headphones that there was some kind of show going on. It was like they were playing a game or selling something. I walked quickly past, bought the plates that my mother had asked for, and went towards the exit. But then I noticed that I had bumped into someone else's feet. It was the presenter with his microphone. Oh no, I thought to myself. He spoke loudly into the microphone that I had stepped out of the circle and become a contestant. And then he asked my name. Name?
Yes, the beautiful lady's name. Tell me your name. What is your name? No, don't be shy. Just say your name.
Annelle?
Annelle, what a beautiful name. Well, Annelle, I have good news for you. You just got a chance to win a wonderful gift. An iPhone. All you have to do is to perform the song I tell you to, okay?
Are you kidding?
No way. It's your day, Annelle. Are you ready?
I looked at the people, the crowd standing around me. Everyone was watching. Some were pointing and laughing. Some had their phones out and were taking pictures. I felt pressure in my temples. My heart was racing, and my legs and arms were trembling.
Annelle, you don't have to worry so much. It's okay. Just repeat after me.
He started humming a song under his breath. I cringed and felt nauseous. Don't open your mouth. What if you embarrass yourself? What will all these people think of me? I've got to get out of here. Thoughts flitted chaotically through my head. I felt really sick. I greedily gulped the air with my lips, and I couldn't pull myself together. I took a step forward to leave, but I lost my balance and dropped the bag of dishes. The plates shattered. I screamed and ran away in tears. I ran home, locked myself in my room, and immediately drank my medicine. For about another hour, I could not calm down, and then my mother came into the room. Hi, daughter, how are you? I just got home from work. Hi.
Did you get what I asked for?
I did.
Oh, thank you. Where are they?
I broke them.
What?
There were people there. They dragged me into a circle, and I was there, and I... My mother gasped and ran up to me and hugged me. She apologized for asking me to go to a crowded place, knowing about my diagnosis. Mom, why is it like this? Why am I not like other normal people?
I don't know, daughter, I don't know, but we have been to so many doctors. I promise you, we will find out what the reason is.
All psychologists said the same thing. To find the cause, you have to face your fear. But that was the reason. I had no idea what the fear was or where it came from. My mom thinks I got the fear when she took me on a ride when I was 7 years old. I remember that day, but I don't remember being afraid of anything there. It seemed to me like any other day, only for some reason it didn't make me happy. I had been looking forward to it so much, I could not understand why I wasn't delighted. And my mother did not like to talk about that day, just like she did about all the other days. That period in my life was especially mysterious to me, and it didn't really bother me until I met an interesting man. I was on my way to the drugstore to get another batch of medicine for myself. The line was long, and I was beginning to get tense. I heard my ragged breathing and realized that I was about to get bombed. Not now, not now, I said to myself. Then some guy came up to me. He looked pretty fucked up. He looked me straight in the eye and smiled. He came up to me, stood next to me, and was like,
Hi, Annelle.
Who are you?
Have you forgotten how to say hello? You used to be so friendly.
Who are you?
Don't you remember me? Can someone like me possibly be forgotten? Eh?
What do you want from me?
I just wanted to say hello.
Then the pharmacist asked me what I wanted, and I asked for my medication. He knew right away they were psychotropics. He said,
Wow, you're still taking them? Is it that bad? How's your mom doing? Was it after me that things got so sad for you?
I took the pills and headed for the exit, but he followed me outside.
Wait, you really don't remember me?
I walked toward the house as fast as I could. He ran after me, but I got away in time. I told my mom about it, and she didn't say anything, and then she said that apparently some crazy person thought I was someone else. At night, I had a dream that this man was living in our house. I didn't understand why he was walking, eating, and sleeping in our house, and then I dreamed creepy scenes where he mocked me and called me Annie, not Annelle, but Annie. No one else had ever called me that in my life. I woke up in a cold sweat. It was morning. My mother and I had to go to a psychologist for another session. I couldn't stand it because the doctors were always asking questions, which made me nervous. I hate hospitals. But that day, I decided to share my dream with her, and the psychologist asked a couple of questions to my mom, and Mom just shook her head, like we've lived our whole lives just the two of us. After the session, Mom went to the store to buy some juice, and I stayed in the car. Someone knocked in the window, and I saw him again. I was so scared. What do you want? You're confusing me with someone else.
No, I wouldn't mix you up with anybody, Annie.
What did you say?
You really don't remember me.
My nightmare was coming true. I felt so uncomfortable. Who are you? What do you want?
Now I'm just getting interested.
He left without saying anything. No sooner had we moved than the tire blew out. What is it, a flat tire? In the street, we saw it was.
Where did this nail come from? Hello, girls. You! What are you doing here?
Mom, do you know him?
Of course she does, doesn't she, dear?
Who is he, Mom?
Nobody. He's a criminal. Call a cab.
He took the phone out of my hands and asked me not to hurry away. Then he opened the door of his car and asked me to get in. He threatened my mother with something, that he would tell me something awful, then she agreed. We got into his car and he drove towards the end of town. On the way, the creep asked my mother to give him money. He asked for a large sum, and Mom refused, of course. Then he said she would be sorry.
Annie, your mother and I used to date. Didn't she tell you? On days when she wasn't home, do you remember what I did? He asked.
What? Mom cried, telling me not to listen to him. He started saying horrible things from my dream. Like me being undressed and pushed out into the street, people laughing at me, and him standing there smiling. He did that whenever I disobeyed him. I screamed so hard, and he laughed. My mom couldn't take it anymore and twisted the steering wheel. The car started swaying from side to side, and he lost control. We crashed into a pole. I was fine, and so was my mom, but his arm got hurt. Mom grabbed me. The police drove by just in time, and he was arrested again. After that incident, we went to see a psychologist again and again. As it turned out, my mother had blocked the memories with hypnosis, and they were erased, but not from my mind. As a consequence of this trauma, I developed mental disorders. My mother, as soon as she found out about his tricks, immediately filed a police report against him, and he was arrested. Many years had passed since then, and now he got out of jail. My mother said that there was nothing to do with money. The man was just crazy. He just enjoyed watching on as he ruined our lives, especially mine. There are plenty of crazy people like that around the world. I wonder how many children have suffered because of them. My psychologist was right about something. As soon as I faced my fear, it became clear where to start the fight. It's been 2 months since then. I can't say I've become super sociable, but at least I'm already shopping for myself. That's something.
Hello, Woody is talking to you. I am a very emotional and bright person. Maybe that's why my strict dad often jokes about me being thrown. Yes, I don't look like any of my family members. My mother is a librarian, and my father is an accountant, so this is an interesting symbiosis in the form of me. I have not all like a normal people, so often my mother used to say, and the way it is. I'm a strange person, but it only makes my life more interesting. Well, okay, now I'm going to tell you about a story how much I once became interested in turtles. Why them? Have you watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Well, at least once? I just love them. Once I was so stuck that I even bought a white rat, but otherwise it was a small matter. The main thing is that I also love pizza. So watch, enjoy, listen carefully, and then write your opinion in the comments. And don't forget to put likes. You can right now and subscribe to this channel. As I said, I was always an active child as a child. I'm not the type of person who is sitting in one place. I have always have to be somewhere or with someone. It seems to me that if I stop, I will get stuck in a routine and everything that will finish me. That's how my ancestors. You won't find old people more boring anywhere. They have only one joy after a long working week, to stay at home to watch TV late, or at most to meet friends in a bar not far from home. We didn't go anywhere with them, either to nature or to a picnic. For as long as I can remember, our house has always been quiet, and my mother is a librarian. She just can't stand the noise. I'm surprised how she raised me, or I wasn't allowed to yell, or my mother doesn't tell me anything. Well, Dad is generally a separate story. He is always with the calculator, always. We have a calculator in the living room, in the kitchen, in their bedroom, in the toilet, in his car. I do not know what the hell he is so much, but he sometimes sits in front of the TV, watch the series, and he jumps off and starts to quickly count something, and then calms down and sit down to watch more. I read that when a person works at the same workplace for too long, then over time they grow into each other with work, and then it turns out like my father. Men in glasses, who looked 45 years old in their 35, and almost all of them have a bald spot on top. It's all because of nerves. Of course, Dad is responsible for the money. Growing up, I realized that I didn't want to live like this, so my interests changed depending on the day of the week, the weather, and my mood. I made it a habit not to sit still, not to engage in routine. Well, from here I had music classes, then I did karate, boxing, drawing, went swimming, judo, tried to fish, did a little singing, danced, went to driving and failed, I tried to cook, blog. In short, what I just did not do and all of the following are hobbies for 1.5 years. Think about it. Of course my parents grumbled how it can be. Father was saying that I should be more stable, but I don't like so. Even word stability I don't like. And then I became interested in turtles. It all started with a movie starring the gorgeous Megan Fox. I know there's still a cartoon, but I liked the movie better. So I was so interested in the film that I also wanted to try to live like them. What if even the turtles survived? Couldn't I? According to the stories, the turtles were sheltered by rats in the sewers, who became their wise and fair teacher in the future. I had a teacher myself, so I packed up some things and went looking for a convenient sewer. Before I left, my father stopped me on the doorstep. He asked where I was going, and I told the truth. I don't know if he believed me at the time, but he said it was time for me to grow up. I was offended. Even if I grow up, I don't want to be like them and my mom. I packed up and went. On the way, I thought that I can try to live there. Who knows? Maybe there are turtles. I had to walk 5 blocks from the house to find an open hatch. I put on a green suit and blindfold beforehand. Well, I imagined myself as a turtle and climbed down. Oh, you should have seen people's faces when I was climbing in. I waved at them and jumped. Well, as soon as I landed, such an unpleasant smell hit my nose. It was worse than the smell of poop. But no, I'm lying. It felt like I was breathing it and a trash can to boot. My face involuntarily crinkled into a grimace like that of a toothless old man. I covered my nose with my hand, turned on the flashlight with the other, and walked on. I tried to find a more or less suitable place to sleep. After walking 10 meters, I realized that I was already more or less used to the smell, but it still becomes harder to breathe. Apparently, there is no air at all deeper inside. It was also so dark that even my flashlight could be seen at a distance of 1 meter. Sometimes I heard sounds, like the rumbling of a hungry stomach. Horror, I thought for a second that someone wants to eat me. As soon as I walked another couple of meters, I felt something soft under my feet. I sharply turned the flashlight under my foot and saw a rat. She was eating something there. Ah! I screamed so loud that I was afraid of my own screams. Splinter, is that you? I asked the rat, and so suddenly stood up on its hind legs and how it squeaks, looking into my eyes. Ah! Help! I shouted, and from fear and ran straight. There were tangled knots in the form of several passages. I lost my bearings and realized with horror that I was lost. I started having a panic attack, and I started to choke. Or maybe I had a lack of oxygen from which I already started hallucinating, or maybe I didn't have any. I don't know for sure, but when I was running, at some point I got very tired and fell straight to the ground. I forgot to say that there was water everywhere. Not only did I stink all over, but I was also wet. But at that point, I didn't care. I wanted to get out. After a while, I sat down and just sat there, shining my flashlight into the unknown and having no idea how to get out. I found it so hard to breathe that I even put my hand on my chest to check if I was breathing properly. I began to have all sorts of strange thoughts, as if I saw that the rat actually turned into a splinter, stood in front of me, and then grabbed my hand. At first I resisted, shouted, called for help, and he was like, "I'll show you the way," and took me in his arms. He carried me slowly on his shoulder all the way, and I waited for the moment when I would see the turtles. "What are the names of your turtles? Do you like pizza like me? Will you teach me how to fight? Do you have children? Where did you learn to fight like that?" My mouth just wouldn't shut up. I wanted to know everything. After he put me down on the floor, I thanked him, calling him a teacher. I asked him to show me where I would sleep, and then I asked him to order food and thought, how do they find the delivery address? "Splinter, Splinter, teacher," I called to the rat, and I didn't understand why he was looking at me so strangely. And as if through my mind I hear the phrase, "What a splinter I am to you. Hey man, come to your senses," shouted the masked man and put oxygen to my nose and mouth. I didn't immediately catch up with what was happening. I was taken somewhere in a car with flashing lights, and only then, when I came to, my father was sitting next to me and mumbling something. In short, guys, in the sewer I started hypoxia is a lack of oxygen in the brain, plus there was an unbearable smell. It turned out to be poisonous to health. So I started hallucinating. I didn't actually run anywhere. I was sitting there on the ground the whole time, getting very wet, and started to run away. My screams were heard by passers-by. They also called rescuers, and they invited my parents to the hospital. In general, the adventure turned out to be so-so. I also wanted to live there for a while. To be honest, I didn't think I was putting myself in such danger. For me, everything was kind of fun or new, but one thing I learned for sure is that I won't go there again. A couple of months later, Christmas was approaching and my parents gave me 4 turtles. Yes, it was such a joke, as a reminder of my mistakes. I promised them to come to their senses and not risk their health again. Since then, I haven't experimented so much, and I haven't watched fantasy, and you never know what else I might think. Would you risk going down the drain?